Askreddit asks, what's an oh shit moment where you realized you've been doing something the wrong way for years?
I owned a light blue-colored microwave for about 3 years that a family member gave me for a housewarming gift. Thought it was cool, never saw a blue microwave before. One night, a buddy asked why I never took the blue plastic wrap off my microwave. Then proceeded to peel it off for me. Damn, that bitch is silver.
Has anyone ever painted their microwave? I didn't expect to wonder about this today.
Dude pulled the tape off. What a dick. Few things more satisfying in life.
Spray paint it. If that's safe to do, I don't know.
After moving to a new city, I went to the laundromat and the Korean lady working was yelling at me about something I couldn't understand. After some pantomime, it became clear that she was upset I was putting in the wrong detergent, but it was the same kind I have been using for 8 years, since moving away to college and behind. Turns out I've been washing my clothes with only fabric softener for nearly a decade. They always smelled good, so I never really thought about it. Not my proudest moment.
My family always had a cup next to the bathroom sink in case you needed to rinse your mouth after brushing your teeth or maybe get a quick drink of water in the middle of the night. My grandma had the same cup at her house. I used it for years whenever I was thirsty. One day she saw me doing this and said, "Don't use that cup. That's where grandma puts her teeth."
When I was a kid, I was told that the paper that came on cupcakes muffins was edible. I would spend a decade eating them like this, paper and all. Until a friend pointed it out.
I mean, you ate them for a decade. I think you proved they are edible.
Traveled frequently for work and only just noticed that most laptop bags have a strap to place over a rolling suitcase handle.
Do you have a picture? I'm not sure I understand.
That's what that fucking thing is for? Question mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark.
Wait.
I taught myself how to play clarinet. 6 months later, someone told me that I'd been playing with the mouthpiece upside down.
Maybe you just had your mouth upside down.
Orchestral clarinetist here. You're some kind of wizard for making that work. And I have much respect for you.
Upside down? Like with the reed facing away from you? I used to fill the kettle by the spout. My parents have always done it this way. I thought the center part was mainly for decoration, but not functional. I don't know why I never questioned this. One day I bought a new tea kettle and my husband was like, "WTF, what is inside this?" And with great ease, opened the center to pull out a manual with instructions and whatnot. I was drinking dirty paper water for like 2 weeks.
Okay, but why did your parents do this in the first place? Exclamation mark.
I don't know, maybe I should tell them.
I used to pull my pants down
All the way at the urinal.
I was with my little cousin at the mall. I was 13. He was 9. We went to pee at the urinals and I saw him pull his pants all the way down. I was like, "No," quote, and explained how to use the zipper. A guy comes walking out of the stall and says, "Good work showing that boy how to get that hose out."
I've seen this as an adult in the workforce as a programmer. I weep for our prospects.
Found out I was lighting incense wrong. Boyfriend and I got a bunch to add to our collection of nice smells and we would light them and they would just start a little inferno. Convinced we were buying cheap, garbage incense, we stopped using them. I proceed to buy a different brand in a hope those would work. I test light and same thing, it just goes up in an inferno. Roommate informs us you are supposed to blow them out once they catch. Oops. Edit. Reddit silver. Thank you so much. As well as a grammar edit. Who knew possibly burning the apartment down would lead to such a response to seemingly common knowledge of how incense work.
I always thought eggplant tasted itchy. Like itchy was a flavor. Like sour or salty. Fed some to my baby and his face turned red wherever the eggplant touched. And I realized we're both just allergic to eggplant. And itchy isn't a flavor. Edit. Thank you for the silver. Kind internet strangers.
I lol that itchy isn't a flavor.
The worst part is now I want to taste something itchy.
One day I used the key fob to remotely start my dad's car. It was an oh shit moment for him. 2 years and he didn't realize he had this handy little function.
My dad bought an aftermarket remote start and took it in to get installed. When he went to pick it up, they asked him what was wrong with the factory one-person facepalming light skin tone male sign.
I owned a car with swivel headlights and it was very nice to have that. Discovered 3 years in that I had never turned on the swivel feature.
My uncle has a 2005 Lexus that has swivel lights. When the car turns off, they face down. The swivel motor broke in both headlights a few years ago and no longer turn up to face straight. He lives a few hours from me and I don't visit that often. So when I finally went to visit him, I pointed out the problem. He had been using his high beams full time at night for years because he thought the low beams just weren't good enough.
Oh man, I thought the AC button in my car, Snowflake, was defrost so I never used it in summer. Fuck did I feel dumb. 2 years.
I didn't find out that I was supposed to punch out for lunch until my third job. And even then it was because a coworker mentioned it in passing that they were clocking out for lunch.
That's freaking awesome. I cannot believe none of your bosses did not ever say anything to you.
Depends on the workplace. Actually, sometimes depends on state law.
My dad bought an aftermarket remote start and took it in to get installed. When he went to pick it up, they asked him what was wrong with the factory one-person facepalming light skin tone male sign.
One day I accidentally hit a button on my extra key fob in my new-to-me car and it started. I was baffled. Then when I went in and tried to put the keys in and hit the brake, it turned off. I sat there for a few minutes, trying to figure out what was wrong. Then it hit me. I have a remote starter. Edit. Key info. Also, I lived in Boston. Tons of people had remote starters. This should not have confused me this much.
Not mine. But my dad has been spelling his name wrong his whole life. He's 51. His name is Jeffrey. And he's been spelling it like that since he learned how to spell his name. A few months ago my mom pulled out his birth certificate. And we all learned it's actually spelled Jeffrey. Not sure if he spells it correctly now. But it was definitely an oh shit moment for him.
Grandfather thought his name was Harvey his whole life. Got his birth certificate at 65 and it's Harmony First Gold. Thanks! Exclamation mark.
Now I'm having a crisis. My dad's name is Jeff but I have no idea if it's Jeffrey or Jeffrey. Edit. It's Jeffrey. I asked his GF. I didn't want to admit I'd known the man for 30 years and didn't know how to spell his name.
Cock guns. Everyone says that you're supposed to pull it towards you. But I saw a Reddit comment saying that they're designed to be pushed away instead. My boss looks at me funny for doing it. But it's exponentially cleaner and tighter. Edit. Quite a few of y'all are mentioning that you're unclear on what you're pushing away. When you cock you slide the entire gun across the crack that you're sealing. So it's that. You can only ever slide it towards you or away from you, unless you're going sideways. I guess, and most people pull the entire gun and tip towards them, whereas sliding it in the other direction works too. A few of y'all sound like you know exactly what you're doing and have added a couple other tips on how to do it cleaner and better. Too, so thanks for that.
I have a lot of caulking to do soon. I will be testing this hypothesis.
My wife and I have this ceiling fan light in our bedroom in the house we moved into 2 years ago. It has a remote control for the fan and lights. About a year and a half ago the lights suddenly stopped working. The fan works well and we didn't have a ton of money so we've just lived with lamps in the room. Always being frustrated with how damn dark it is. I was scrolling some other thread on /Askreddit /TIFU a few weeks ago and the top post was a guy talking about how his lights stopped working years ago. And then he found out that it was just dimmed, which you do by holding down the button on the remote. It sounded so much like our fan I went and tried it. Dimmed. Living in a foreign country where I was actively learning the language. Social cues go a long way when learning a language on the spot. That being said, someone once said a phrase to me while serving a hot dish, which I assumed as meaning, "Excuse me," after going through crowds and lines. Replicating the same phrase in an attempt to be respectful of those around me, I abruptly found out that the phrase actually meant, "enjoy." Hindsight completely makes sense. The odd looks I would get by saying, "enjoy," while squeezing past people all of a sudden made sense. Edit. Wowzers. Y'all really know how to make a grown man blush. Thanks for the gold and silver, you beautiful, beautiful strangers. I'm glad my mistakes bring such enjoyment and hilarity to the world, face with tears of joy. So this happened while I was living in Vietnam. The phrase was "xin moi." It was even more deceiving because it was similar to the phrase for "sorry," which is "xin loi." That was year 1. The following 3 years were full of similar mistakes. Tonal languages are tough.
I'm vigorously checking this thread to make sure I'm not an idiot too.
Learned something new and ashamed to admit another. The scroll continues.
Not cause I've been doing something wrong my entire life but saw it wrong. I'm colorblind and my entire life I thought peanut butter was green until I turned 19. And when I found out it was brown my mind was blown. It took so long because no one really talks about the color of things like that.
I went to a county fair when I was a kid and the brown cows were in a barn with crappy yellow sodium lights. Those cows were as green as Irish grass to my eye. My parents thought I was nuts going on about the green cows. Wasn't until I got my color vision tested when I went into the service I found out why.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and above all, have an excellent day, you incredible people.